Tarbiyah Academy is an IB, International Baccalaureate, primary years program. And there's a difference between traditional schools and International Baccalaureate primary year program schools. And the difference between our school as an IB PYP school and a traditional school is that in a traditional school, the teacher is the center of the classroom. In an IB school, the student or the learner is the center. So it's the difference between something along the lines of saying the sage on the stage, the teacher is the sage on the stage. In an IB PYP school, the teacher is the guide by the side.
You know, it is different. In some ways, it's so different than what they're used to. In other ways, it's such a natural extension of how we do inquire about things and how we learn, where if you truly want to learn something, you take responsibility for it and your learning is in your own hands. And I think that's such a great concept to be teaching from a young age.
This is the first school in my experience in which teachers have adapted and adopted the IB philosophy so quickly and so readily. When the IB trainer came and trained our teachers, she was amazed that by the third day, they were just embodying the philosophy of the IB.
The first thing that I heard was that this was a concept about bringing the natural state of a child from the home into the classroom and back to home.
I was awestruck by the level of attention to the details that for everything that went, even from the color of the ceiling to give an open sky and to increase the amount of space or the visual space, to the different color classrooms, to the artistic walls, to even the layout of the floor. It really came from an understanding of a child developmental psychology and how to keep the attention and the involvement and the engagement of the child in their own learning process.
When you walk into Tarbiyah, it is happy. It exudes colors. It's warm.
It's really cool. And it's always amazing when somebody comes in for the first time. They always say, we kind of look on the outside and we look on the inside and they're like, wow, like the outside doesn't indicate what the school looks like. It's very colorful, very well designed.
Some things I like about my classroom is that we have about 3 or 4 class pets, and it's always in some way fun, but in some ways you kind of realize you're doing work, but in some ways you don't realize it. And we have passports. Okay, so let's say that we did something caring and there was a caring passport. Like I helped my friend pick up her books if she dropped them. That would be caring. And then you write it down in the passport, and once your passport is filled, you turn it in, and then they get hung on the wall, and then you get a prize on Friday.
And we just have like a rainbow, and we started from blue, which is caring, which was our first month learner profile, and this month's learner profile is open-minded.
A normal day at Tarbiyah always begins with remembrance of Allah, and then we start our day of reminding the students why we're here and how education is interlaced with Islam in everything that we learn, and exploring how that ties into what we're learning academically that will help us to be successful in the world today.
My students are continuously engaged. They're curious about everything. I think one of our favorite lessons was a science lesson we started with worms. And mealworms, you know, obviously they stay for a very long time, but mealworms also become beetles. And recently, just 2 days ago, after 4 months of waiting, our first baby beetle was born.
We are currently learning about conservation in our current UOI. One of the projects that students have been working on recently, and they've been so enthusiastic about it, is a mock landfill project where they are actually recreating little mini landfills. So instead of telling students about landfills and the problem with landfills, students have actually been able to experience what too much garbage to a natural environment does.
In our board meetings, we talk a lot about big ideas. And what is the big idea behind the school, or what do we want to see in these children when they're 2 years into Tarbiyah Academy or after they've graduated from middle school at Tarbiyah Academy? And it boils down to two things. Very simply, hearts and minds. And we tried to do this one thing where we tried to make a cartoon about it. And we commissioned a guy in Ireland who was an artist. He had no idea about the school or anything. And I described to him over a series of conversations how when we educate a child, and I was giving him the concept of tarbiyah, about how to encompass that, about the nourishment, the nurturing, the education, the adab, all of the things that go into that. And we came up with this cartoon of a little bobblehead. And he wakes up and he goes to school and he sees his teacher and he meets his classroom and the camera starts spinning around him. And you see these hearts popping in each of these little bobblehead kids as if they're coming alive, and then light bulbs over their heads. And then they bounce out of the classroom into the playground, and then the playground expands into the world and everything. And it's the sense that if you can touch one person, that effect can really go viral. And that child can touch a family. And that family touches other families. And before you know it, you have an entire community of hearts and minds that are alive and in sync.
So I think the importance of leadership being one of the fundamental goals of our institution or our school is that, in today's society with our children and some of the challenges we face as being Muslims in America, we really need people who can stand up. We need our next generation to be strong, to maintain their faith and their spirituality, and at the same time, have the academic backing and the upbringing that will help them rise to be leaders in this country.
What we're trying to accomplish is to give parents structure. And the parents who are now in 5th and 6th grade, we have made a commitment to them that we will grow with your child up to a certain point. It's important for us to stick to our word. This is a school that is opened on time, that has delivered on its promises, and inshallah will be able to deliver on those promises. I would like to see, and so would the board, that over the next 2 to 5 years that we continue to grow at least 1 grade per year up until the capacity of this building and what we can reliably sustain.
So far, we've been beyond amazed at what they've accomplished this first year, and we hope that they can grow upon it, build a bigger community, and that they just continue to get the support to continue doing the amazing stuff that they're doing now.
This school has a sound business model. We know that if we are at capacity, the numbers work. We will be able to not only sustain ourselves, but we will be able to show predictable growth over the next 2 to 5 years. But it's that startup phase where really we need the community to assist us, just like they did for this. And subhanAllah, if anyone comes to the school right now, they will see the fruits of what they have given. Not only in this life, inshallah in the next life as well. If you look at some of the best private schools in this country, and we've researched them, we've spoken with people involved in those, we've visited many of them, they all started from somewhere. Nothing starts at the level that you see it today. Whether it's a Harvard, whether it's a McDonough, whether it's a Glenelg school, they all start from somewhere.
The thing I love most about my job is that we are building something from scratch, and we get a lot of say. I've been in schools where we're in maintenance mode. It's been existing for about 10 years, and we're kind of fixing and changing. At Tarbiyah Academy, we have a very clean slate that we're building on top of. So there's no precedent that's been set. We're really building together here, and that really excites me.
We have started from something that is very strong. Our foundation is real. The education we are providing, I would say, is revolutionary and nothing short of it. Are we short in certain areas? Yes, we're not perfect, and everyone knows that. But I think that we have earned the trust of our parents such that they know that if we want to make good on some of our promises, that they can count on us to be able to deliver on that.
I think it's very important to our family and other families that we know in our community to develop the next generation of young Muslim American leaders. And therefore, a school like Tarbiyah Academy that establishes this as one of their goals, we feel is more important than ever. There is no other school like this, as far as we know, in the United States that has this kind of ambition, this kind of vision.
So I think in order to produce the next generation's leaders, if you believe in that, and if you want to join us, I think this is the time, come join us. And we really, I think a lot of people sometimes they sit on the fence, they're not sure, or they believe in you, but they're a little timid. Even in Islam, there's the niyyah, but then the next step is taking action. Let's really make this an institution that as Muslims we're proud of in this country, that our neighbors benefit from, that our children benefit from, that our families benefit from, that the surrounding areas and that this country benefits from. We have the next generation of leaders to really lead us to a better future.